Article 43(1)(b) of the Constitution, and to provide for a framework for development and access to affordable housing and institutional housing. Following its passage by the House, the bill was forwarded to the Senate for consideration pursuant to the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution. Honorable members, the Senate made various amendments to the bill as conveyed to the House on Wednesday, 13th March 2024. The Senate amendments were committed to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning and the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning, and Public Works for joint consideration and reporting to the House. Honorable members, the manner of disposing the Senate amendments to National Assembly bills is provided for in Standing Orders 145 to 148. In summary, the House will generally debate the Senate amendments for not more than 1 hour under the motion that the Senate amendments be now considered. Thereafter, should the House resolve to consider the amendments, the House will dissolve into the Committee of the Whole House to dispose of the amendments sequentially. On the other hand, should the motion be negatived, the provisions of the Article 112 of the Constitution relating to the mediation process will apply. Similarly, should the Committee of the Whole House amend or reject any of the Senate amendments, the mediation process will also apply. Instructively, the Senate amendments to the bill will be moved by the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning should the motion be approved. In conclusion, honorable members, should the House pass the Senate amendments as proposed, the Speaker will then proceed to forward the bill to the President for assent in accordance with the provisions of Article 112 of the Constitution. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. The Honorable, I saw Honorable Kimani walking out. Oh, he's here, okay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker,
you're the mover, okay. You're the mover of the motion.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate amendments to the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023, be now considered. Honorable Speaker, let me first take this opportunity to thank both the Housing Committee and that of Finance and National Planning for the quick consideration of the amendments that came from the Senate. And I know, Honorable Speaker, after the message that you read yesterday, the committee did retreat and held their meeting yesterday evening up to very late. And indeed, when I was speaking to the chair, way after midnight, they were still working on this draft report. And I must thank both committees, that of Housing, led by Honorable Ngeno, and that of Finance, led by the Honorable Kimani Kuria, member for Molo. Honorable Speaker, Senate did effect a number of amendments which, by and large, Honorable Speaker, are enriching the substance of the Affordable Housing Bill, and more so in the new clauses, in Part 3, Clause 31A all the way to F, that seeks to introduce the role of county governments in affordable housing, Honorable Speaker, and creating county committees that will be helping to advise governors in consultation with the National Board or the Housing Board in the rollout of affordable housing in counties. Honorable Speaker, some of these are progressive amendments that I have seen. The committee has agreed with them. There are also a number of amendments, Honorable Speaker, which the committee has disagreed with the Senate on, but Honorable Speaker, reading through their reports, many of the committee's reservations on some of the amendments done by Senate are not fatal in nature, and amendments that the committee in the observations observe that they can actually be cured through other statutes in the future. Honorable Speaker, with that observation, then it tells us that in the spirit of our bicameral parliament, and so that we are not seen to be always fighting and getting into mediation between the two houses, what we find that is not fatal in an amendment that has been proposed by the Senate and can be amended in a further statute. For instance, there are a number of amendments that were done that the Committee on Finance do not agree with, but they have stated in the observations that these are things that can be cured shortly using the Finance Act or the Finance Bill that will be shortly coming. The Ministry of Housing, Honorable Speaker, is also in the process of doing another comprehensive housing bill that looks at the entire spectrum of housing from what members even contributed during our second reading on the affordable housing debate on issues to do with rural housing that I know Professor Udo was very keen on. And therefore, the ministry is working on a comprehensive bill that deals with the whole spectrum of housing, right from our rural housing to our social housing to now the affordable housing that we are doing through this bill, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, some of the other reservations that the Committee on the Housing or the Departmental Committee on Housing had reservations on, after due consideration between the committee and the ministry, and of course the leadership in the Senate, we have agreed that these are things that can be cured again through that statute that will come in the name of the housing bill that will be tabled before the House, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, would want to ask members that we adopt the committee's report as it is, and when we go to third reading, Honorable Speaker, to the Committee of the Whole, upon conclusion of this debate, I have said within the hour, the timeline that is given for consideration of this motion, when we get to the Committee of the Whole House, we then could propose that the House agrees with the Senate in the amendments, and we have the bill enacted into law now and assented to by His Excellency the President, as you guided, Honorable Speaker, without any undue delay. And the few reservations that were there, we have taken note of them. Those that will be rectified through the Finance Act or the Finance Bill that will be tabled before the House before the end of next month. The chair of the Finance Committee has committed that he has taken note of that. Those that will be done through the Housing Bill, the chair of the Housing Committee has taken note of them. And there are a few minor ones that can be done through miscellaneous, and I'm taking those up with the Office of the Attorney General to make sure that they are done. And we need, therefore, in the spirit of bicameralism, need not get into mediation and fights with our brothers and sisters in the Senate, and we, by and large, agree with them when we get to the Committee of the Whole. With those very few remarks, Honorable Speaker, since time is very limited on this, I will ask the Chair, I beg to move, and I will ask the Chair of the Finance Committee, the Honorable Kuria Kimani, my namesake and younger brother, member for Molo, to second.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Majority Leader. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, we'd like to thank the members of the Committee on Finance and National Planning and that of a Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works. We got the report from the Senate yesterday, and we worked through the midnight oil to process those amendments. And as the majority has said, by and large, you've agreed on most of the amendments made by the Senate. I think, just for the information of the House, some of the key amendments that are proposed on the House is the role of county governments. Because the Senate establishes now county committees so that to make sure that these housing projects or affordable housing projects are skewed across the country in the spirit of fairness and ensuring that no county is left behind in terms of this responsibility of affordable housing and institutional housing, Honorable Speaker. Key to note also, Honorable Speaker, is a proposal to reduction from 2% to 0.5% of the amount of the levies that was supposed to be taken up by Kenya Revenue Authority. Although we agree that all the other levies that are collected on behalf by Kenya Revenue Authority on behalf of various agencies like the Radio Development Levy, the Prairie Development Levy, or Import Declaration Fee attract a levy of 2%. So this will be a key departure from the KRA Act, but these are some of the amendments that we are hoping that we'll be able to fix in the Finance Bill, Honorable Speaker. Key to note also, amendment that has been brought from the Senate is the definition of social housing and ensuring that the specification of incomes of people who get to benefit from these houses, so that to make sure that the implementing agencies actually must adhere to making sure that the affordable housing units are not just for the rich or the middle class, but they are also for those that have earn the minimum wage in this country, Honorable Speaker. Key to also note part of the amendment is the inclusion of the National Construction Authority and the State Department of Public Works as some of the implementing agencies on this project, Honorable Speaker. We've seen some buildings, Honorable Speaker, collapse due to lack of proper supervision by Public Works, and sometimes the National Construction Authority not being properly empowered to make sure that they supervise the construction of these projects as mandated by their roles, by the respective acts of Parliament. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, involving now the National Construction Authority and the State Department for Public Works, I hope that we will ensure that they maintain the integrity of this building so that we do not have these buildings, Honorable Speaker, collapse, so that we have these two entities play a more active role in this, Honorable Speaker. Key to note, the bill that went to the Senate as approved by this House had provisions of Sharia law that mortgages that are going to be provided for on this particular program are Sharia compliant. And I had Honorable Tandaza was concerned that maybe the Senate had proposed an amendment to this, and would like to confirm that there is no proposed further amendment on that as approved by this House. So the mortgages that are going to be applicable or that are going to be issued through the affordable housing scheme, Honorable Speaker, have to be Sharia compliant as far as possible. And so this is a step in the great direction, especially as our Muslim brothers and sisters observe the holy month of Ramadan, Honorable Speaker. Also key to note is that the National Assembly had amended that the housing levy be tied to the Tax Procedures Act in terms of the date of collection and the penalties thereof, Honorable Speaker. However, Senate has disagreed with the National Assembly on this particular amendment and has brought back the penalty at 3% if this housing levy is not levied on time. We still feel that this particular levy should be tied to the Tax Procedures Act so that it is remitted to the Kenya Revenue Authority as a civil debt, just like all the other levies and taxes are levied to KRM, and we're hoping that subsequently in the coming legislation, then we'll be able to again tie this particular collection of this housing levy to the Tax Procedures Act so that we ensure that there is at least fairness, there is uniformity in how we do tax administration in this country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, for the comfort of this, how the issue of institutional housing continue to come up. It's a very, very critical area because we have a lot of our students, whether in universities and polytechnics and KMTCs, who are living in deplorable situations, Honorable Speaker. And we are happy to observe that the amendments that were proposed by this House to include institutional housing as part of the functions of the fund, Honorable Speaker, have been accepted and carried on, Honorable Speaker, by the amendments proposed by the Senate. So this is to ensure that our students in universities and colleges at least will have a decent place to stay when they're in school. And that is why we are in agreement with these particular amendments, and we are saying that this amendments therefore don't need to go to mediation. The Committee on Finance and National Planning and that of Public Works and Housing has agreed, and that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the Senate amendments to the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023 be now considered. Yes, Honorable Makali, I'll come to you, Honorable Bui.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to make my contribution to this Senate bill, which has been forwarded to us. I've listened to the mover and the seconder, and I see they are suggesting that even though there are some areas they don't agree with, as a committee, for now, we can just move on and approve them. It is important that we note, Honorable Speaker, that if we do that, then automatically it means the coming finance bill will not be able to address the issues, because if this is ascended to in another 1 month, you still require not less than 6 months for you to do an amendment. So, Mr. Chairman, it's important you note that that will be happening the next financial bill. So that means whatever is not convenient to Kenyans, then we have to live with that for about 1 year. But, Honorable Speaker, there's a matter which the Senate has raised, and I think this matter, I did bring it up, and I am happy that the Senate has picked this matter. And the matter was, Honorable Speaker, the matter of targeting. The issue of once these houses are done, do we have some affirmative action to make sure that those Kenyans who are not able to pay even the required deposits will still be able to get those houses? And I'm a very happy member of Parliament today that now the Senate has picked that, and through that amendment, Honorable Speaker, once we pass them, we will now be sure that out of the total houses to be constructed, there will be a share for those Kenyans who cannot at all be able to afford these houses, so that whatever share they will be given to them, Honorable Speaker, then it is within themselves to plan and see how they can access that share. What does that imply, Honorable Speaker? It implies that at the end of the day, then not the rich or the middle level Kenyans who will be able to take up all these houses. Because we have said many times, as we construct these houses, we are using public land to construct the houses, but once the houses are constructed, they will be sold to individuals or private sector. And what will happen, Honorable Speaker, is that if they are sold out to private persons, it's like subsidizing the houses. And in a situation where we don't then accommodate the Kenyans who are very low incomes, then it will be unfair, and that will be discrimination in terms of who benefits. So I'm happy that that has been picked by the Senate. The other matter which is critical, Honorable Speaker, is this matter of the issue of if you don't remit the money, you are charged 3% penalty. And Honorable Speaker, I think the chair has come out very clear that we should treat this matter just like we treat taxes, so that if there's a delay in paying the tax, let this matter be treated the same. But unfortunately, we are saying we are going to accommodate that 3% in the current form it is, meaning that for the next 1 year, anybody who will be delaying the payment of that levy then has to face the consequences of paying 3%. This is an area, Honorable Speaker, I wish we were able to amend. The other thing I've had the proposal, Honorable Speaker, to bring on board Public Works and the NSA. Honorable Speaker, the National Construction Authority is a regulatory authority. So I don't know how are we bringing them on board. Is it in terms of implementation, or is it in terms of quality assurance? Because I don't think NSA, by the way they are designed currently, they have the capacity to implement. Mostly they will just oversee and make sure that the standards are met. So that particular element of bringing NSA on board and Public Works on board, Madam Speaker, is an area I would wish that we get it very clear in the bill, that it will be very clear what role NSA will be playing. Otherwise, it will not make sense for NSA being a regulatory authority to become an implementer in this arrangement. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I do support. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mbui, member for Katia.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, democracy is very interesting because I stood and opposed this bill in its totality when it was presented to the National Assembly. Now, it has gone to Senate, and Senate has brought it back with amendments. And that tells me that probably even the Senate was listening to some of the issues that were being raised by some of us when we were saying that this bill was flawed. And maybe going into the future, Madam Speaker, it would be important that we listen to each other in the House so that the Senate doesn't notice some basic mistakes that we make because we can't talk to each other. Madam Speaker, I was hoping that maybe the Senate would have rejected it in totality, like I did, because then maybe they would save Kenyans from the burden that we expect Kenyans to get. But then, most importantly, Madam Speaker, Senate is basically set up for the purposes of protecting devolution. And Madam Speaker, I said from the onset that this bill that came to the National Assembly should have been a Senate bill, because the National Assembly is only for national government, and the matters of national government, Madam Speaker, are policy. But we've gone into the implementation of how people will get houses, how they'll be put up, which is what should have been the work of the Senate. So I would have hoped that Senate would have protected the devolution and insisted that all of it be handled under the county governments. And then national government's involvement, in my opinion, was always unconstitutional, will continue to be unconstitutional. But then, Madam Speaker, there's a few vague things that they needed to also have helped us get clarity. For example, how will people benefit or get these houses? How will these houses be valued? I raised the issue of the valuation of the houses and said that it's unfortunate that the developers are putting up houses at a cheaper cost than these affordable houses. Where will they be located? Because if you're going to locate these houses in some of our rural areas, then our rural folks are not interested in these houses in those areas. Maybe they would have fought to insist that they be put up only in the urban areas and the major cities in the country. What is the repayment period when people get these houses? Those are some of the things that Senate should have done. But it's disappointing that Senate has also become another choir for the executive. The only difference is that they sing soprano and the National Assembly is singing bass. It is unfortunate. The two houses have become, a rubber stamp for the executive. But then we have to be careful that we do not pass bills that end up in court, Madam Speaker, because there are major things here that will end up taking us back to court. And Madam Speaker, you see, one of the major things that is going to be a problem is the issue of land. Everywhere where these houses are being put up, most of those places, there are disputes on the ownership of the land. How will we tackle that problem so that when we start the implementation, it is seamless? Because at the end of the day, once it becomes an act of parliament, all of us as Kenyans, we are bound to respect it. We are bound to ensure that it is implemented. But then how do we tackle matters to do with the land? So we have to be careful, Madam Speaker, what we pass in this house. And the other time we passed a policy here to send our policemen to Haiti. You saw the Prime Minister came, signed a document with the head of state, and he couldn't even land in his own country. We have to think through. We have to study what it is we are doing. We passed a bill here, the finance bill of 2023. What happened? Members of this house who are shouting yes here have gone back to the village and told the villagers that this bill was flawed, there were mistakes. The same thing that's going to happen with this housing bill. You will shout yes, tomorrow in the streets you'll be telling the hustlers that there was a mistake. None other than the Deputy President said there were mistakes in the finance bill. I hope you don't tell us there are mistakes in this one going forward. Otherwise, those few remarks, Madam Speaker, my position remains the same. I oppose.
The Honorable Johanna Ngeno.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also wish to appreciate the fact that the bill which had gone to the Senate has come back to the House with amendments, and I wish to just give my voice on it that I support it. Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, as a chair of the Housing Committee, I must appreciate that while the Senate focused on matters mostly counties, Madam Speaker, I also want to appreciate that even if they focused majorly on the counties, they enriched the bill in a way that the passage of this particular bill, Madam Speaker, will ensure that all the issues that most of the members, especially members of this House and members of the public, were raising over the fact that housing is partly devolved, Madam Speaker, then when you look at the proposals made by, or the amendments made by the Senate, Madam Speaker, shows that we all share the responsibility of giving Kenyans housing. Madam Speaker, a member also touched on the NCA, and I think NCA falls under Public Works, and Public Works, Madam Speaker, has been building government or public houses. Madam Speaker, NCA is in this particular bill majorly as an inspectorate, as a quality assurance, as an institution that deals with the quality work that is to be done when building these houses. Madam Speaker, the bill, and emerging members of this House, we have all gone through this bill, either in the first reading, second reading, public participation, the Senate, and it is back with us here. What we have seen, Madam Speaker, and what members and everybody in this country, Madam Speaker, is asking for is the proper implementation of this particular program. Madam Speaker, the implementation, when this bill is passed, will now lie on the executive to ensure that whatever promise they made to the people, the housing programs and the markets should be delivered to the people as per their promise to the people. So, Madam Speaker, I wish to support and say and urge members so that we support it. At the same time, Madam Speaker, I wish to state as a chair that we support all the amendments made by the Senate, and we are in agreement, we are in total agreement, we have no issue, and therefore, Madam Speaker, I support in totality. I thank you.
Honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence of the following schools in the Speaker's Gallery: Nguni Boys School from Mingi Central Constituency, Kitui County. Secondly, we have the University of Nairobi from Starehe Constituency, Nairobi County. We also have St. Angela's Girls Karura from Kiambaa Constituency, Kiambu County. Also seated in the public gallery is Musumba High School from Kibwezi West Constituency, Makueni County. We also have Manthi Junior School from Imenti Central Constituency, Meru County. We also have Baitigitu Junior School from Imenti South Constituency, Meru County. And finally, we have St. Luke's Yatta Boys School from Kitui Rural Constituency, Kitui County. On behalf of the members of the National Assembly and myself, we welcome you to the National Assembly. The Honorable, I'll give the member for Imenti, is it? Okay, the Honorable George Murugara.
You're not from Imenti. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I support the motion, I think it's important we make a few clarifications here and there. Number one, it was said that the amendments that were actually effected by the Senate cannot be brought back before 6 months lapse, because that is a rejection by Parliament. The correct position is that when we pass or when we reject motions in the House, or we reject laws and bills, that is when the 6 months rule applies. What we are saying here is that some of the observations that we had and which the Senate did not agree with are actually observations that can come in through a finance bill, and they can be effected that way. Number two, we have done intensive public participation in respect of housing, and while there may be one or two issues that may arise, the position remains Kenyans are actually eager to see the housing policy implemented. It is important that we involve the county governments, and this is why we agree with the proposals by the Senate that there will be a committee of county governments that is also supposed to oversee the construction of these houses. There is a mention of the fact that there may be problems with the land where this is being effected. We all know exactly what happens where there is a dispute regarding land. There is no land that is being acquired compulsorily, and if there is any compulsory acquisition, the law is clear on how this is done. Those affected are adequately compensated. Therefore, in my view, what we are debating today is proper, but we should be moving on to the Committee of the Whole House so that we can effect those proposed amendments or reject them as the case may be. I do support.
Your point of order, Honorable Makila.
Madam Speaker, I rise under Standing Order number 95 that we had an opportunity to discuss this bill
and it is now an opportunity for us to call the mover to reply, Madam Speaker.
How many are in favor of putting the question? Honorable members, I now put the question that the Senate amendments to the affordable housing. Sorry, I thought you all agreed. Okay, now let me put the question. How many are in favor? How many are in favor of putting the question? Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Okay, honorable members, I now put the question that the Senate amendments to the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023 be now considered. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Yes. Hold on. Don't go to the next order.
Order number 11, Committee of the Whole House.
The numbers are not enough. Let's.
Order, members, order. Order, members. What is out of order? We've not even started. We've not started. No, come on. Order, members. The Honorable Fire, the Honorable Chepkonga, the Honorable Nyalenya Girls. Order, members, order. The Honorable Chepkonga, may you resume your seat. Nyalenya Girls, resume your seat. There's nothing out of order yet. There's nothing out of order yet, the Honorable Mayor for Magarini. There's nothing out of order yet. Honorable members, just hold your horses, the Honorable Kombe. You are a senior member of this house, you know how it works. Yeah. Honorable members, we are now formally in the committee of the whole house to consider the Senate amendments to the Affordable Housing Bill that was 2023 that was passed by this house last month.
Senate amendments to clauses 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 23, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 38, 39, 40, 42, 44, 45, 47, 48, and 49.
Thank you so much. I propose the question that the Senate amendments to clauses 2, 7, clauses 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, clause 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 23, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 38, 39, 40, 42, 44, 45, 47, 48, and 49 be now approved. Now, the point of order, I can now entertain the point of order. Let me hear you, the Honorable Kombe, now.
Thank you, Chair. The Honorable Member stood on a point of order 95, standing order number 95. And this standing order number 95 is calling for the mover to reply. And that process has never taken place. How are we? Are we in order to go to the committee of the whole House, Mr. Speaker?
The Honorable Nyikal. Members, you know that the matter you're raising with me is a matter that has already been spent. It's been dispensed with. It is functus officio. There's nothing I can say on it at all. Honorable members, just to guide, the reason I've read so many clauses is that the House has no amendments to those clauses. So they are being considered together, the way I've read all of them, almost 20 of them, because the House has no amendments to them, so we are carrying them together the way they have been read for you. The Honorable Otiende.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I agree with the difficulty you find yourself because you are not the substantive speaker when the mover was not called upon to respond, and it just adds to the litany of improprieties that we propagate as a House. But, Chairman, I rise under Standing Order 130E, and I will read it. Except as otherwise provided in these standing orders, the same rules of order and of debate for the conduct of business shall be observed in committee as in the House. My understanding, therefore, Chairman, is that whether or not there's an amendment, we as members are entitled to be heard on these matters. And on that account, I beg that I be heard on these matters.
The member who has just spoken, the Honorable Tiende, you are spot on, and that's why where we've reached so far in the agreement of the whole House is the time when I should now give you a chance to speak on what you want to speak on among all those clauses I've read. If you remember, I've said I've proposed all those clauses. So it's for you to consider those clauses by making comments on them. That is the stage we are at in the committee. And so the floor is open for any comments at this point.
So can I proceed? Can I proceed now?
Is it a point of order or you?
No. Now on contribution as guided by you.
Correct. You go ahead now.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, all these clauses as properly read by you are improper, they are irregular, they are for rejection in totality. I heard Honorable Mbui say that the National Assembly has become a house of bass, the Senate has become a house of soprano. If that is so, at this stage, we now must be at the alto stage, because clearly it is the same charade. Mr. Speaker, in fairness to Senate, at least they considered some amendments. And in fairness, they have endeavored slightly to try and improve one or two things, but they have still overall failed miserably. And the fact that even the Senate amendments are not being considered properly by this House shows that we and those who are propagating this whole idea are only interested in the funds, not in the why, not in the what, not in the how. Mr. Chairman, I want to say that the technical issues we raised on this affordable housing bill, the legal issues we raised, the policy issues still remain. They remain untouched. And to that extent, these amendments, it does not improve the original bill, and they are all for rejection. Let me just give one example, and I sit down, Mr. Chairman. You see, when we raised the question of how the affordable housing relates to the counties, in this House, nobody wanted to hear that. At least in the Senate, they have endeavored to introduce a clause, clause 31A, in which they are introducing what they call the County Affordable Housing Committee. But that committee, they then prescribe who's to be in it. And it begs two questions. One, if we agree that affordable housing generally is a mandate for the counties, then why are we prescribing and legislating for the counties how to execute their mandate? It means we are reprobating from the Constitution. Two, to establish a county committee, which then is subordinate and answerable to the National Housing Board, is to actually usurp the mandate of the county and place it at the national level. And that's just one example, Mr. Chairman. So what I want to say is this. All the policy issues, all the legal issues, all the technical issues still remain. And one day, if it is not the courts, then Kenyans will vindicate us. Thank you very much.
This side, Honorable Chepkonga.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I rise to support the amendments that have been proposed by the Senate. I completely disagree with my very good learned friend. I normally call him the Boots person, the Honorable Atiende Omolo. Mr. Chair, under Article 95 of the Constitution, the National Assembly resolves issues that are of concern to the people. Article 96 of the Constitution, the Senate protects the interest of the counties. So we could not discuss issues of the counties in this House. It is, in fact, the relevant House that has brought the amendments, which we agree with. And in fact, and you should know, as Honorable Atiende Omolo knows, the housing element in the Constitution is a concurrent function. So the Senate had to come up with amendments that take into account the issues that concern the counties. And in fact, they have done very well, Mr. Chair. Correct. And that is the reason why I'm supporting. Okay. It is very constitutional. They have done the right thing in accordance with our standing orders and their standing orders. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I give the next person to intervene on this matter, members, join me in welcoming students from the PCA Elbagon Secondary School, Molo constituency in Nakuru County, students from Kaptebeswet Secondary School, Ainamoi, Kericho County, students from Kagumo Girls, Kirinyaga Central, Kirinyaga County, and students from Olaimutiai Secondary School, Narok East, Narok County. They are both in the public and the speakers gallery, and we welcome them to follow proceedings this afternoon. I'll give this chance to Honorable Mary Masse. I'll come this side, don't worry.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I arise to support the amendments by the Senate. And I strongly want to disagree with my friend Atiende Omolo that this bill is not addressing their concerns. Honorable Chair, this bill is exactly doing the opposite. It is addressing majority of the concerns that were raised by the public. Issues around affordability, issues around suitability, issues around the location of these units, and issues around guarantee of ownership. Chair, when you look at clause 2, it is introducing new definitions to define the various categories of the units that will be established. Social housing unit that is targeting those that have an earning below 20K, 20,000. We have the affordable housing units that are targeting those earning between 20 to 149.
And we also have the affordable middle class units, targeting those earning over 149, and also the rural affordable housing units to target all those living in areas out that are not urban. So I don't know whether the honorable member actually has read these amendments. Thank you, Chair. I support.
The member for Vinyula.
Chair, the tragedy that has been the affordable housing bill continues. It went to the Senate. We thought Senate will have the temerity and the courage to cure the mess, but they have only amplified the mess, and we find ourselves in a terrible mess than we had before we left here. Honorable Speaker, and I want to echo the sentiments raised by the majority leader. The issue of a bicameral approach to preparation of bills. We wish the same spirit could also be amplified in the National Assembly here. Some of the amendments that have found themselves here, even though improperly presented, were raised during the Committee of the Whole House. But because of the partisan nature of our ways of doing things, they couldn't be considered. Now they have gone to Senate and they have been mutilated. Honorable Speaker, I want just to draw a very fundamental mistake that has occurred. When you look at the original bill that was passed here, agency means an institution allocated monies for affordable housing under Section 11. National Construction Authority, Honorable Speaker, has no mandate to implement affordable housing. It's a regulator, it's a supervisory body. I do not know how you are going to cure that fatality. I wouldn't imagine anybody who has has attended a housing policy class lecture would have allowed this kind of a mess to find themselves. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, I want to really tell my neighbor, Mary Amase, on matters of housing policy, we are very careful how we define categories of housing ownership. What constitutes affordable housing? What constitutes low-income housing? It has no reference at all to income of a person. Because income is not static. It's a never moving.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Member for Kitui South.
Thank you, Chairperson. I support the amendments as they have been presented by the Senate and as read by yourself. First of all, Honorable Chair, I would like to say that I listened to Senior Counsel Otiende Amolo, and I think he contradicted himself slightly as he was engaging. That first of all, he appreciated the inclusion of the Senate, but he said that we do not know who are going to be in these committees. So, Chair, I would like to say that it is good to have these committees that have been introduced, and going forward, this will be addressed in the regulations. Chair, also, these amendments have introduced a higher level of participation through those committees. Affordability has been highly addressed, Honorable Chair, through identification of those to benefit from the social houses, where they are focusing on the level of income. Chair, also, the Senate addressed quality, where they are saying that we must involve NCA and Public Works. So to me, the bill has been enhanced, and we need to appreciate this. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
This chance then goes to the member for Mombasa. Then I'll come this side.
Asante sana Chair, na nami niweze kuchangia mswada huu ambao umeletwa hapa, Mheshimiwa Chair. Mheshimiwa Chair, sijui bunge hili lilikuwa wapi wakati ule wakipitisha bila kurekebisha, ndio hata leo tuletewe hapa tena waseme kuna marekebisho. Mheshimiwa Chair, Mheshimiwa Chair, mimi bado napinga mswada huu. Nasema ikiwa yule ambaye anakatwa pesa yake ana shamba yake na hajengewi katika shamba yake, basi huu ni ulaghai, huu ni wizi wa hali ya juu, Mheshimiwa Chair. Na Mheshimiwa Chair, mimi nataka kusema tuangalie, tusiweze kufinya ugatuzi. tusiweze kufinya ugatuzi, kwa sababu ikiwa jambo hili ni la ugatuzi, ni la kaunti, kwa nini wasiwachiwe wao wapange mikakati yao mpaka ije toke na huku juu? Mheshimiwa Chair, Mheshimiwa Chair, Wakenya bado mpaka sasa wanahangaika, na mimi narudi pale pale, ikiwa kweli serikali wanataka kujenga nyumba ambazo ni za watu wa maisha ya chini, Mheshimiwa Chair, pesa walizokata katika tax zile zingine zatosha, Mheshimiwa Chair.
Asante. Mimi ndio nilie kukupatia. Sasa niko na nafasi ya kukata pia. Aya, malizia basi. Mpe Mheshimiwa Zamzam amalizie.
Mheshimiwa Chair, mimi nasema tusiwadhulumu wa Kenya. Hawa ambao tunakatwa pesa zao za housing levy, Mheshimiwa Chair, wengi wana madeni ambayo wamejenga majumba yao. Na kama wanataka kweli kujenga, jambo langu ni kuwa basi wasijenge kwa shamba ya serikali, manake huwezi kunambia wanikata pesa kisha unijengee kwa shamba ambalo si langu. Nitakuwa na uhakika gani kuwa mimi nitamiliki ile nyumba? Kama wanataka kujenga kweli, wawajengee kwenye mashamba yao ambao wanamiliki wao wenyewe. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Chair.
Asante. Majority Whip, sorry. Majority Whip. Leader, go ahead.
Honorable Chair, I would like to draw the attention of the House to the standing orders. Although Attorney Molo read Standing Order 148, but he twisted it to fit his circumstance to want to debate this third reading as if we are doing second reading. Honorable Speaker, when we come to third reading, we come clause by clause. Even though you have read several clauses, which is okay, but we need to debate amendments, and that is the essence of third reading. We cannot open debate as if we are in second reading. I'm coming there. There is a difference.
The Honorable Buyer.
Yes, but Honorable Speaker,
order.
We need to take votes.
Order. I suppose, order members, I suppose that you are contributing on the amendments. So, honorable members, order, Honorable Buyer. I read an odd 21 clauses. So I will not limit members on which clause they speak on. As long as you take your 2 minutes or 1.5 minutes, I will not limit members as proposed by Honorable Buyer. I was hoping that you're going to contribute on the areas you want to contribute on, but not limit members on debate. So if you want to contribute, I'll give you a chance to contribute, but not to limit members on what they're going to say on this. I've already guided accordingly the Honorable Buyer. I will not take direction from you on this matter. The Honorable Timothy Rotich, are you contributing or guiding on how debate is going to happen? Because, just a minute, the Honorable Buyer, I'll give you a chance to contribute on the amendments, but not on guiding how debate will happen on this matter. Okay, the Honorable Rotich.
Thank you, Chair, for the chance to contribute on these very important Senate proposed amendments. Chair, I support the amendments, but I have few reservations. Honorable Chair, I support to the extent that there is a formation of a county committee. However, Honorable Speaker, if you read article provision number 31G, it says, nothing in this act shall preclude county governments from enacting legislation related to affordable housing in the counties. Honorable Speaker, that means we are opening a Pandora's box. We are opening avenues for the 47 county governments to make legislations in respect to affordable housing. Honorable Speaker, that is a recipe for conflict, because if the 47 counties are allowed to make specific legislations on the affordable housing program, and we have a uniform law in this country, which is the Affordable Housing Bill, which will now become an act, it will be a nightmare when it comes to interpretation, because there is a possibility that a conflict will arise and different county governments will make different legislations on this particular subject. Honorable Speaker, it is something that we must look critically as a House so that we have one uniform legislation providing for formation of county committees, and we avoid the issue of each county government making a specific legislation on
the affordable housing programs. Honorable Chair, that is my submission and contribution.
I think, honorable members, we've had enough debate on this. I want to put this. No, we are not debating the affordable housing bill afresh. We are considering amendments of the Senate, and I've given enough members on this matter. Honorable members, there's nothing out of order completely. I've given 6 on this side, 4 on this side. No, don't Mojikal.
And therefore we're still saying we cannot give. If you are going clause by clause, that would be right. But now we have taken all the clauses and we are still limiting people time. My colleagues, I'll tell you, if we ignore all the processes, that is why this house...
This is your chance. This is your chance. This is your chance. Okay. Honorable members. Honorable members, I think we've had enough reactions to this. I proceed to put the question, which is that the Senate amendments to the clauses that I read earlier, in the earlier clauses 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 23, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 38, 39, 40, 42, 44, 45, 47, 48, 49 be now approved. As many other opinions say aye. As many other opinions say nay. The ayes have it.
New clauses. New clause 11A proposed by the Senate.
Honourable members, I now propose. Chair. Chair. Order. Order. The Honourable Nyikal, order. Order, members. Chairman.
Honorable Chair, go ahead. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that new clause 11A, 11B be now read a second time.
Just a minute. Can I stand up and make a point? No, order. Order. Don't Nyekerario. Order. Order. Honorable members, I think it's order. It can't be right that when I rule them wrong, you clap. When I rule you wrong, you make noise. It's not the way it's done. It's not the way it's done. It can't be that when I rule them out of order, you clap and make ululations. When I tell you out of order, so the Honorable Makali Mulu, 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 resume your seat. 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 The Honorable Makali Mulu, resume your seat. The Honorable Nyikal, resume your seat. Resume your seat, Honorable Nyikal. You have been heard. Resume your seat. Resume your seat. This matter will proceed as per the law and the procedures of the House, not as per the feelings of members on what they feel is wrong or right. Let's proceed. Let me listen, before we proceed, let me listen to the Honorable Makali Mulu on what is out of order.
Chairman, with all due respect.
Allow us to listen to Makali Mulu. Don't know Nyikal. Allow me to listen to Makali Mulu.
Chairman.
Go ahead.
With all due respect, the clauses have been voted, yes, you have no problem. But Mr. Chairman, you and me, we have been in this house for over 10 years. Right. Anytime we are on third reading, we always go clause by clause, and where we have in between clauses which are not being amended. Now, in a situation where you read from clause 1 to the 46, and there are amendments, Honorable Chair, that's why we are saying, Honorable Chair,
that's okay. Thank you. Can I give guidance on this? Because it seems there is some lack of understanding of the procedure. What we do in this house normally, even with our own bills, and I want to listen carefully on this, even on our own bills, whenever you're considering the government of the whole house, clauses that have no amendments are never even considered for debate at all. And what I've read, the clauses that I've read, all the clauses I've read have no amendments. That's the point. No member here, no member in this house has an amendment to the Senate's amendments. So it has to be clear to you on that. Let's proceed. Let's proceed.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that new clause 11A and 11B be read a second time as per the order paper, that the bill be amended by inserting the following new clause.
Chair, move them one by one. Move them one by one.
Yeah, they are both, okay. It's one clause, 11, A and B.
Move one by one.
Okay. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that new clause 11A be read a second time as per the order paper, and 11A, that the board may, with the approval of the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Treasury, invest any income that is not immediately required.
Thank you. Members, I propose the question that the new clause 11A, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time.
Put the question.
I now put the question that the new clause A, as proposed by the Senate, 11A, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time. Will the member of opinion say aye? Aye. Will the member of opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Chair? I now propose the question that the new clause 11A, as proposed by the Senate, be part of the bill. I put the question that the new clause 11A, as proposed by the Senate, be part of the bill. Will the member of opinion say aye? Aye. Will the member of opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 11B proposed by the Senate.
Chair?
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 11B be amended as proposed by the Senate, that the board may, with the approval of the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Treasury, borrow funds for the advancement of the objectives of this Act.
Thank you. I propose the question that the new clause 11B, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time. Yes, Honorable Member for Funyula.
Chair, I just want to tell the Kenyans to know, if they borrow, there is a cost for borrowing. There's a cost for finance, and that cost will be passed over to the eventual Kenyan who will buy the house. So the issue of affordability is a smoke screen. We are going to get into the same regime of looting, borrowing, misusing the money, and passing over the cost of borrowing to the final cost of the house. Affordability is a mirage.
Thank you. I now put the question that the new clause 11B, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time. As many other opinions say aye, as many other opinions say nay. The ayes have it. I propose the question that the new clause 11B, as proposed by the Senate, be part of the bill. I put the question that the new clause 11B, as proposed by the Senate, be part of the bill. As many other opinions say aye, as many other opinions say nay. The ayes have it.
New clause 31A proposed by the Senate.
Chair?
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that new clause 31A be read a second time as proposed by the Senate.
I propose the question, members, that the new clause 31A, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time.
Put the question.
I put the question that the new clause 31A, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time. As many other opinions say aye, as many other opinions say nay. Ayes have it. I now propose the question that the new clause 31A, as proposed by the Senate, be part of the bill. I put the question that the new clause 31A, as proposed by the Senate, be part of the bill. As many other opinions say aye, as many other opinions say nay. The ayes have it.
New clause 31B proposed by the Senate.
Chair?
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that new clause 31B be read a second time as proposed by the Senate.
I propose the question that the new clause 31B, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time. I now put the question that the new clause 31B, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time. As many other opinions say aye. Aye. As many other opinions say nay. The ayes have it. I now propose the question that the new clause 31B, as proposed by the Senate, be part of the bill. I put the question that the new clause 31B, as proposed by the Senate, be part of the bill. Will as many other opinions say aye? Aye. Will as many other opinions say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 31C proposed by the Senate.
Chair.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that new clause 31C be read a second time as proposed by the Senate.
I now propose the question that the new clause 31C, as proposed by the Senate, be now read a second time. Is that Majority Leader? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and I rise to support. Honorable Chair, if members, those who cared to read, unlike the Honorable Zamzam, who I have seen speaking about the involvement of counties, if only she had bothered to read